All right, what's up, everybody? We are live, episode 143, broadcasting out of Sedona, Arizona. I got in studio with us Rich and Rob Drew for the Ride Series. What's up, boys?
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
What's up, Rob? What's up, Rich?
Excited to see you again.
Great to see you guys too. You guys have been doing so many things. I can't even keep up. We got the Ride Series. We got Ari.
Ari, maturation of a brand, indeed.
Right? You got the coaching thing. I mean, there's so many things going on. Where are you guys putting your time in right now? What seems to be the one taking up the most of your time?
Well, I think I'll jump in first. The Ride Series takes up a ton of the time. We're trying to grow that brand, obviously, to reach more riders and set them up to have more success and keep them on the bike, keep them safe, get them more confident. Private coaching, being in Bentonville, there's a lot of people that come there. So we're spending a lot of time doing that, which is incredible. It's really fun to work with people in a one-on-one environment at that place. It's just such a resource. And now they're building an amazing skills park that's going to make it even better to do that.
Whoa, where's that going to be? Is that
right in the middle of Slaughter Pen? So where the wooden drops were, remember those wooden drops?
Yeah.
Gone, dude. They tore all that out and they're building the gnarliest skills park that you've ever seen in the world.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's going to be super cool. And they're very open to adjusting it on the fly. So they have an amazing plan. It's getting built out. And then as people use it, they get feedback and they make adjustments on it. So it's pretty cool. It's one of those things that not many places in the world could do that for one reason or another, but we're able to do it there. And that's pretty dang cool. So other than that, the media piece of what we do. So it's two separate entities, the Ride Series and coaching, and then obviously the content. So we try to stay on top of that as much as we can. And yeah, it's hard. My wife runs the two businesses and I do what she tells me to do when she tells me to do it. And,
smart man.
Yeah. So it's been working well. And this guy has some exciting news recently.
Rob, what do you got? You got something?
Yeah. So I don't know if we talked much about it last time we talked with you, but I had my own business.
Yes.
Body shop in Chandler, Arizona.
Yeah. Actually, I saw some of the posts. You were trying to get rid of some of the inventory that you had in there for a little bit. And I was like wondering what's going on. He's emptying the place out. He's doing that for a reason.
Well, I had huge struggles with employees. Really, really difficult because we needed well-trained people, working on high-level stuff. And it was just really challenging. And I lost a key guy. I had to step in and start painting myself. And so for the last 2 years, I wasn't available to Rich at all because I was working 70 hours a week in my own business.
Whoa.
And I was kind of ready to give up. And I met with my CPA. Fortunately, about 15 years ago, the guy who owned the property made me a great deal to sell it to me. So I own the real estate. Nice. And I was going to sell it. And my CPA just said, don't do that. So he put me with a broker who brought a tenant. And once we made that deal, I told them I'll be out in 6 months. So just literally canceled everything we were in the middle of, sold everything I had, and got right out.
Dude,
ended up taking 7 months though. It was stressful.
Yeah.
But now I'm retired.
Congratulations, man, on the golden ticket.
Yeah, I've been pushing that.
Yeah.
I've been pushing it for a long time.
Nothing but dumb luck. Even a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. You got to get those every now and again.
Yeah.
I was looking at some of the inventory you were selling. I think there were some muscle cars in there. There was a Camaro that kind of looked at peaked my.
So I think I had 40 cars, stuff that I had compiled over 25 years, and every one of them, with a vision, a dream, but never any time to work on my own stuff. So,
oh man, yeah.
I just had to clear it out. And my house I live right on South Mountain in Phoenix, and my house is really small, and so I just couldn't keep anything. The shop had 3 acres, so I could just pile junk up.
Keep it all there
with no worry about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to get rid of it all. It was an interesting 7 months. Was
it hard to get rid of a lot of that stuff? Because those were things that you bought with like a vision to do.
Yeah, it was. So here's the thing. When you have a business like that, I think I can speak for Rich too, even though he's not been as deep as long as I was, but I spent more than half my life in the walls of that business.
Wow.
And so when it ends, you can't help but think, I had a dream that my employees' kids would work in that business.
Right.
Like I would hand it off to them and then I would retire, but still own the property. And it just didn't pan out, And I realized I have to choose for myself. And I was not happy. I was working 70 hours a week. I wasn't seeing my wife. And
I wasn't riding his bike as much.
I
as
wasn't riding my
should be.
bike as much.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got,
You didn't
I
have
got
any
kind of
time.
soft and squishy, and
That
it's
soft
not
and
good.
squishy. It's not that
I gotta,
good.
I got to turn things around. And, yeah, an opportunity presented itself, and I just said, this is it. I got to do it. And yeah, made it work.
That is awesome. So then with that, you still own the property,
Mhm.
but you are retired now.
Yeah.
So income will still be coming in. Do you get a chance now to ride bikes, do some more of the ride series, get more involved there?
I've done a couple of clinics with Rich again, and what was awesome was it
Yes.
was probably about 2 years since we worked together, but you've been there, you've seen
Yeah.
the synergy that comes across when we're doing the program. You get to experience our lives together. It
Yeah.
all comes across.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, that's
and as you've seen,
important.
we're very different people.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, we came from the same place, but the way he absorbed those experiences and the way I did are different.
Right.
And so the people that we work with get the benefit of all that experience. You know,
Yeah.
over 100 years of experience.
Yeah. And I've seen it. You guys were in Marietta, my hometown
Yeah,
out there,
yeah.
doing a clinic at the park, and you were both splitting up the group, and there was different ways and there was different looks and things, the feedback. So now people will get
Yeah.
both of you guys.
Well, yeah, and that originally was the product. And he mentioned trouble with employees. And I started the ride series in 2015, and I'm still basically the ride series. We hired a young man, a coach, in 22, young man named Mason, amazing rider, like top downhill rider, and just incredible. Grew up a lot like we did, and great personality. And for 18 months, it was awesome. But he just realized it wasn't for him.
Mm.
And I get it. It's not a life for everybody. But the challenge I have is I can ride a bike pretty well, because I spent a lot of my life on a bike, and I've had many experiences on bikes. But I worked in the corporate world. I was a product trainer for the Ford Motor Company for 11 years.
Oh, wow.
So my ability to teach in a clinic setting
Yeah.
has nothing to do with how well I ride my bike. It's very important. There's people here that ride bikes really well. They can't tell you what they do and why.
Mhm.
And that's a very important piece. And unfortunately for me, I've never been able to find anybody that can ride a bike really well. And I don't think it's out of the realm of reason for me to say I should expect to have somebody who can ride a bike as well as me.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a lot to ask. But the problem is a lot of people who can ride a bike well, they weren't very socialized growing up. They spent all their time trying to ride bikes well.
Mm.
And that's why having him is so amazing, because we grew up together. We have a lot of the same experiences, but like he said, we gleaned different things from those experiences. And when he's there and we have the ability to convey the message in a multitude of ways, like any clinic, we could have 15 to 20 people. So we initially need to be prepared to deliver that message 15 to 20 ways.
Mhm.
It might be 40 ways. The first way we try may not work. And that's a very important piece of what we do. And quite frankly, why we don't have other coaches. That's a hard thing for somebody to do.
Yeah.
If you learn a script, like if we told somebody, here's the script, that's great if they learn the script. But if they have no experience to draw on in that situation, when they're questioned, they have nowhere to go. And I call him the king of analogies. And he's amazing at using analogies to convey the message to people. And it's awesome to see.
That's great, man. That's awesome to see you guys back together. That's cool. That's going to be fun. Now, I know that takes a toll on you guys too, because you tour, you're away from home, you're on the
Yeah.
road. When does that, is there a seasons for that, or do you guys just all
Well,
year long?
it's interesting because potentially there are seasons, but that's what's great about being in Bentonville. We're in Bentonville when the seasons are good, but in the winter when it gets bad, we go to Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
In the summer when it
See,
gets
that makes sense.
absolutely brutal, we go to Colorado.
That makes
So we
sense.
try to chase the weather a little bit, and that's really good for me because I get to travel a decent amount. And then now the idea is I'll pick and choose certain events around the country that he will come in. And what's great is we can kind of dovetail the content creation on that. So we'll go to Nashville for an event, and then the next weekend we'll be in Atlanta. So what we'll do is we'll create content in between those two, and then we have all three of those things happening in the same time frame. And logistically, it works out really well, and we're able to combine costs, so that helps too.
That helps a lot. You know, with the economy right now, and it seems like when I talk to people of just different varieties of skill level, there's always the people that are like, I don't need lessons, I got this. And there's people that want them out of the gate. Has it been harder in the economy? Does it seem like more of those I don't need lessons people come out? And what do we tell them
So
to get them there?
I'm going to take this one first because
Yeah.
Rob's going to come in and he's going to put it a little more on the nose. I think
He's gonna hit the hammer.
he's going to put a little more. He's going to put a little more on the nose.
Listen
Yeah,
up, people.
I think that's a great point, Mark. Is the economy is very interesting, and people I think are more aware of the money they're spending. And if we take a look at the potential product offerings, I don't know of anybody who's more expensive. And my thought process on that is anybody who is a savvy consumer would look at that and go, well, wait a minute, why is this product more expensive than the others? and honestly, dude, I don't want the person that goes, this one's half the price, I'm going to go with this. I want somebody that appreciates I could die on a bike.
Yeah.
There's a really good chance I could break a collarbone.
Yeah.
This is
Collarbone
twice the
club.
price. First, it's twice the price. Well, let me do some research. Who's teaching me? And if you Google one of us, you know what's going to come up? Us riding bikes.
Yeah. Your race pedigree, the coaching,
that's the thing is the people that show up, I don't think they bat an eye at the money they're spending because they feel like they're going to get a lot of value. And the thought process going in is, I want you to leave thinking, dude, I would have paid twice the price for that. And it's so interesting now because we do events around the country and it never fails. People show up and they go, no way, dude, you're actually here. And my first thought is, man, I'm a horrible business person. Why am I not sitting at home watching the bank account grow as I just deploy people to do these events?
Yeah.
But I come back to you, I can't do that. Like that's
as valuable.
It's not what the product is, dude. Like it's just, I would love to get to the point where we could have a team of people and he and I could potentially do that. If we split off and we each brought somebody under our wing to do that, it would work really well. Now I'm going to let Rob talk a little bit about people deciding whether or not they need to be taught how to ride a bike.
Yeah. The bro students. I don't need it, bro. Yeah. Hey, get him, Rob. Get him.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. But also from the financial standpoint, Rich and I have talked about this a lot. And there's been opportunities in the past where we had companies willing to underwrite the clinics so that people could come through for free. But let me ask you, what's the value of something you get for free?
It's not that much.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's zero.
You have no skin in the game.
Exactly. So what you get is you get people who go, oh yeah, I'll come to that. And then they go, well, you know what, today I don't feel like it. And they don't show up because they have nothing invested. And so to me, it's paramount that people have an investment because then they're going to covet what we give them. They're going to appreciate the information we bestow upon them. They're going to use it. They're not just going to cast it to the wind like the last thing they got for free.
Right.
And that means a lot to me. The other thing is, you ever drive a Mercedes?
Smooth.
That's quality.
Yeah.
That's quality. And you know what? You can't get it for the price of a Hyundai.
No.
They're both cars and you can get in and drive them. They'll do the job. But if you can appreciate the difference and you can afford it, that's what you're going to buy. You'll never be in something less.
Yeah.
And my position is we're selling Mercedes. If you can't afford Mercedes, I'm sorry that that's the case.
Yeah.
But everybody's not our customer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I like that. That's a great analogy. That makes complete sense. If people are looking at price right off the bat, they're looking at the wrong thing. They're looking for skill. Those are the students you want, right?
Well, you need to search for value.
Yeah.
Value is the key.
Yeah.
Was the price worth it? And no matter what the situation is, that's the question.
Yeah. Price is a component of the value story.
Yeah. Right. That makes sense. If they're like, well, this one's cheaper, they're focused in the wrong spot. They want to focus on the value. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. And it's such an interesting realm right now because you have all of these COVID riders. And what we found with a lot of these COVID riders is they come in, a lot of them from another sport. So if you're into skiing, you're into golf, coming in, if I want to be better at this, I pay somebody who's really good. And I'm going to circle back around to that to teach me to start off on the journey properly and be the best I can be. But then you also have the subset of people that have been riding for 20 plus years. And when we start a clinic, we ask everybody, how long have you been riding? And it's very important because normally the people who have been riding 2, 3 or less years, they're a blank slate. They have no preconceived notions. And what's incredibly important is they only know current bikes. Well, then we have all these dudes, 20 years. I've been riding for 20 years. And I look down at their shoes. They have full on cross country shoes. They have little tiny cross country pedals. And what I know immediately is that person is riding their current bike like they rode their 20-year-old bike.
Oh,
And if you look
and
at
their
this,
dropper never goes down.
yeah,
it's
and
straight up.
and then we get people like, oh, I don't use my dropper, I don't need it. And my response to them is, need has nothing to do with it. You just gave me your opinion on something that factually, according to physics, is an advantage.
Yeah.
And that's a microcosm of so many people. Just because you've been riding for 20 years doesn't make you a good rider. I'd argue you're probably a bad rider because you forge technique on a bike that has no bearing in today's geometry, today's engineering. But you're a human being. You're not going to, as the bikes change your riding style. That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
So when we get those people in, dude, they leave and we get messages after the fact that just go, oh my God, like I can't believe this. Stuff that I struggled with before, I'm now essentially allowing the bike to do what it's supposed to do. And it's like being at a party going, this party isn't great. And you open the door and walk into another room and go, now we're talking.
Yeah.
This is the room I wanted to be in.
Right. Exactly. Which is super cool. When you get those aha moments, when people are like, they get it and they see the value in it, is there a mixture of skill that is, like whether it's jumping or cornering or bike body separation or?
Well, it's everything. And that's the beauty of our program, because as far as I know, we are the only skills entity that uses solely a ground school approach. We don't go to a trail. I want a grass field with a subtle slope.
But let me just tell you, we tried that. In the beginning, we would do half day at a park and we do half day on a trail. And what we found was the most precarious part of the event was moving the group to the places we wanted to work.
Yeah.
And if you're working on open trails, you got people coming through, interrupting it. And logistically, you waste hours of time people are paying for, giving them nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And so we just decided we've got to keep this in an environment we control where we can just get reps. People get reps because experience is the key.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I noticed that when I came to your guys' event, you guys had the hoppers, you guys had the drops, you had everything. There was always motion. And then when there wasn't motion, there was like coaching, like this is what's happening next. You guys,
Well, the psychology behind it is incredibly important. And I don't know how many people dive deeply into that, because if you look at its base, human nature causes you to do the worst things on the bike. As a human, when you're scared, you're programmed to push away from fear.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do on your mountain bike is go backwards.
Use that move up front.
So we have this conundrum of, well, wait a minute.
That's an ace up your sleeve.
Yeah.
When you need to play that card, you better have not dropped it already.
That's right.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a human being, and that's the worst thing for me. Well, how do we fix this? Well, as a student of teaching and psychology, the first thing we came up with was, let's put you in a grass field. There aren't many places safer than a grass field. If we remove all these impediments, we put you in a position to only focus on learning. And what was really cool was Braden Bringhurst did a talk earlier, and he talked about the mental acuity needed to excel at anything. And what he said is, you can only focus on a couple things at a time. If we're riding on a trail, you're having to focus on the trail and all the impediments on the trail. We put you in a grass field, it's way easier to focus on what you need to do. Like, think about it, dude. Turning your bike on shale and whatnot here with cactus next to you, that'll scare the hell out of you.
It's a lot of calculations.
Exactly. If we put you in a grass field with copious amounts of traction, you're able to get in the position you need to be in because it's the safest.
Right.
And then it comes back to, dude, you physically just did it. The only reason you couldn't go do it on a trail is because you can't get out of the way of yourself. That's it.
Mentally,
Once you do it, you've done it. And the more times you do it, we call it time under task. There is a right way and a wrong way. And the more you do it the right way, the more your brain goes, oh, that makes sense.
That makes sense to me.
And if you've done it in a grass field, awesome. Then you can go do it on the trail. It's just a matter of will you.
But humans are very adaptive. And so you'll run into people who have become very skilled at doing it wrong.
They've made it work.
Spend enough time doing something the wrong way, you can get really good at it.
Yeah. So a lot of times those blank slates may be easier to teach, and those ones that have been.
I'll tell you the best story. I'll tell you the best story. We had a jump class in Phoenix, and it was huge. We had 3 lanes of jumps. It was awesome. And we had a rider there that was a member of the U.S. Olympic cross country team. And what she said is, man, tracks are changing. I need to learn how to jump. And I said, okay, we can do that, but you got to understand this is going to be a very challenging thing. My buddy Ed comes. I went to high school with Ed. Been riding 8 weeks. Got his evil following. He's ready to die. What is it? Bleed black, die
That's right,
evil or
yeah.
something.
That's right.
So
He was bought in.
he was bought in. So we start jumping, and Ed is smashing it.
Yeah, the guy was just like a natural. He did what he had no preconceptions. He did what we told him to do, and he was crushing it. And this athlete was literally
Gravity had an alternate effect
Yeah.
on this athlete.
Yeah,
Just
the craziest thing I ever saw. She could come in at 50 miles an hour and she would not leave the ground.
And you know what I said to her? What I said to her was, you've spent your entire life to become one of the best in the world at not doing what you're trying to do now. So it only stands to reason that's going to be very, very challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. The human psyche's, it's fascinating. And if you don't manage that within the confines of what we do, you're not going to get success with these people. There's so many different personalities. People learn different ways. And you, as a teacher, you have to be very malleable with your message and be prepared to deliver it a bunch of different ways. It's like you have this tool belt with all these different things, and certain tools fit very well for certain situations. They're horrible for others.
That makes sense. Yeah. Which makes you guys have to be readers of people.
Yeah.
When they come in, you got to realize, like,
I tell people all the time, when you make an explanation to a group of people and you look at them and they're looking at you with kind of a blank stare going, yeah, you better see in their eyes, no, they don't get it.
Yeah.
Before they tomahawk themselves. It's going to be a bad day.
It's going to be, we just started.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, as far as, you guys teach a wide range of skills. Your course goes through so much. Do people come in and they go, I just want to learn how to jump?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
One of the biggest challenges we have is people not knowing where they slot in. So right now our offerings are MTB 201, MTB 301, and a jump session, which when I said I'm going to do a jump session, he said, that's a bad idea.
Yeah. So you've been to our program.
Mhm.
And so we develop a vernacular with the students. And so unless you've been through that, and we know you and you know us and you understand our approach, to just show up at a jump class. And we've had this happen. People who knew people got to jump the line and come to a jump class, and they hadn't been through a regular class, and they really struggled, and they got frustrated because people who were very low time riders were killing it, spending it, and these people couldn't put it together because they didn't understand.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. That's just one of those situations where you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So
It's out
sorry,
there.
man, you should have went the way we said. But
Here's the best way I'll describe it to you. I call it the ABC analogy. A lot of people who ride bikes right now, and people who think they ride bikes at a higher level, they missed letters. So what we try to do is get people at A and give them everything at A. Because if you leave A early and go to B, you can make your way to C and D, but you've left things behind.
Mm.
And if you do that, you will not be as competent a rider as you can be. And so jumping, that's the roof. If you don't build a solid foundation, you can go out and jump and you can deem yourself successful, but we would argue you're not. And prime example is this. If you ask people, and Bentonville's a prime example, you can go find jumps a lot of different places. And I go and I watch people hit jumps. And most people deem success jumping, landing on the downside. Dude, I landed on the downside, successful. And I look at that and go, that might have been the most frightening thing I've ever seen in my life. That's not success. By some stroke of, I don't know what, you landed.
Miracle. Dear
Well,
Jesus.
then you see somebody else 10 times in a row lands exactly in the middle of the tabletop. And I tell them, hey, great job. And they look at me like, dude, I just cased it 10 times. So no, you consistently did the same thing 10 times.
Mm.
That's success. That dude over there, 10 times rolling the dice.
Wild card Willie.
Yeah.
Wild card Willie. That's
It's not where you got, it's how you got there.
Ooh, that's nice.
And what makes it so challenging is we have a lot of people come through jump classes and like, I was told to do this, I was told to do that. And I think to myself, first, who the hell told you to do that? Well, I don't know. And I come back to
they do it.
What I come back to is I may be in an alternate universe, but my thought process is if you can't jump really well, which isn't your opinion, Mark.
Yeah.
It's an empirical scale. If you can't jump really well, how the hell are you going to teach somebody to do it?
Yeah. that won't. Yeah, I'll
It
teach
doesn't
them how
make any
to
sense.
not jump well.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. And we have a lot of people that come in and I was told this, I was told that. And what I tell them is physics and gravity say otherwise.
Mm,
So who's right?
yeah,
I'm going to go with physics and gravity
physics and
every
gravity,
time.
they win all the time.
Yeah, well, and everything that we tried to come up with, that was the root of it. What does gravity say?
Yeah.
What do physics say?
What goes up must
Because
come
we're not
down.
going to win that fight. So if we don't comply, then what we're asking people to do will be unsuccessful, and what we're doing works well.
Yeah, I mean, when I see some of the videos of you guys teaching and talk about the physics thing, like when you're rolling a drop at a certain speed, that tire's coming down a certain way, and if you're slower, like things change, the physics change, right?
Mhm.
That front tire drops down if you're in the wrong position. There's so many things that go on. Is that a tough thing to teach people, or
I'm gonna let him dive into this one.
It's very difficult because, and this is another thing, Rich did a drop video, and I told him, I don't think you should do that because it's very situationally specific. And you're gonna show a specific circumstance and the way that is safest to do that. And people are going to be thinking of the drop on their trail, and maybe that situation, it wouldn't be effective.
oh, it's a different technique,
Yeah,
different
well,
speed, different everything.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. You can think of in your mind every drop you've ever hit and how different they all are. There may be, the saying there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Which I don't know where that came from. It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I never
Who's
did it.
skinning
I
cats
never,
around
I
here?
never did it,
Horrible.
but I heard
Horrible.
it said. Anyway, there's so many different ways that you can do it, and some of those ways depend on where you're at in your skill level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe you can come up to a big drop, like a 6-7 foot drop, get into a nose manual and set your departure angle,
Mhm.
and then just drop, pogo off the front wheel
And hold it.
and land in the same angle as the landing zone. That's a totally viable way to do it if you have that skill.
Mhm.
And if you don't, that's probably not going to work out good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it this way, Mark. This is how I try to describe it to people. And again, shocked because you go to the new skills park in Bentonville and I watch people, and the majority of people hop off drops. They load and they hop.
And there's a lot of people out there advocating.
Telling
They
them to do
advocate that.
Yeah,
and
that's
and
a-
here's
that's
They're
instruction
adding
way.
more stuff.
so
to,
forget our technique, which isn't our technique. We have no ownership of what we've explained to people to do. But what I come back to is, did you have to do what you did? And that's my thing is Einstein said it best. Do what you have to do. Don't do any less. Don't do any more.
Mm.
And the majority of people, they're not a good enough rider to do the more yet. And what I tell them is anything you add in above what you have to do, that can go wrong.
Yeah,
It's that simple.
that makes sense.
And for some odd
Right.
reason, there's a lot of pushback on that. And I did that first video and people freaked out and I owned it. What I said is, okay, maybe I didn't explain it good enough. And when I did the next video, I couldn't help but in the beginning, because I'm just this guy, we pretended like we weren't filming and I was at Drop the Hammer, which is the biggest drop we have. And I'm like, man, I wonder if this is going to work, knowing full well it's going to work.
Yeah.
But I wanted to put it on the nose of some of these people. Like, I'll hit some of the biggest drops there are to hit. And what I'm talking about is going to work. And if it works for me, I could make the argument. If it doesn't work for you, it's not my technique's fault. It's your fault. It's not an indictment of the technique.
Yeah, if
you
you fail to
failed to do
execute.
it properly.
Yeah.
And that's anything, dude. That's whatever technique you want to hit a drop with. If you do it wrong, it's probably going to have a bad outcome.
Yes.
So
Scary bad outcome.
We made the comment earlier about rolling the bicycle off the drop by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's basically where that came from.
Yeah.
Even doing that, every different situation has a proper speed. If you push the bike too slow, it'll just nose over and flip over,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just like you will if you go off a drop too slow.
Right.
And so you have to look at what do the physics say? And if the bike can do it on its own, you can do it with the bike. You just need to not ruin it.
Right. Right.
Just let it happen.
Go for
And
the
if you
ride.
don't know, like if you're somewhere looking at a drop or a jump and you're not really sure what speed to hit it, my advice is don't hit it.
Yeah, we go with the 80%.
Go somewhere
rule.
else.
If you're not 80% certain
Yeah.
you're going to clean it with
Just
no issues,
Skip it.
live to route another day.
Come back another time with
Yeah.
more information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is you hit the nail right on the head, more information. the more you're riding, the more situations you're in, the more experience you have, the more data you have up here to draw on. If you don't have that data, you don't have it to draw on. You need to go out and get it.
Yeah.
And my advice, based on our numerous injuries in our careers, is try to do it the best way possible so you limit the injuries. You're not going to avoid them because they're going to happen.
Yeah. Pay as less dirt tax as possible.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. Pay that into investing into skills so you pay less taxes in the future. That dirt tax, but
I like that.
It's bad.
Yeah. Everything you do is valuable information for the future. And whether it goes bad or it goes well, your brain can use it as an example and say, okay, don't do this because it didn't work.
Yeah.
But if you never have that experience, you can't check that one off and avoid it. It's in your future.
Yeah. God. Yeah. It's coming eventually.
Yeah.
You never know when, but yeah. Geez. So you guys are doing a lot of good work out there, like helping people avoid catastrophic injuries by taking your classes, being able to enjoy and ride longer and happier.
That's a big one. And he and I have that talk all the time. And we joke about, if you're horrible at riding a bike, you're still having a lot of fun. But the better you are, the more fun it can be.
Yes.
And a lot of people just bang their head against the wall, doing the same thing over and over again. I remember
being bad at it. And it was
you were bad at
it. Yeah,
you were
it was
bad.
a great time.
No.
And the better I got, the more fun it became. And that's what's so great about bikes. I mean, I'm 53 years old and I look forward to it like it's Christmas Eve and I'm 10.
It's the best.
And I already know my presents and I just want to get there.
And
I love that feeling.
Let's talk about at 53, still dropping KOMs on some of the gnarliest trails at South Mountain.
Bro.
And this is what gets me fired up. Like, to be riding at the level he's riding at now it's really cool. And for me, it's the same way. I'm riding a bike right now better than I ever have in my life. I'm 46. Like, when I raced, all I did was race. I trained. That's what I focused on. I'm riding so much better now. And somebody asked me, well, why is that? That doesn't make any sense. So it makes perfect sense. My whole life is spent teaching people how to do these things. And when you work through it that much in your mind, you get that much better at it.
Makes sense.
I had this conversation with a private coaching client the other day. We started 30 minutes. I explained everything to him. And this is a very high level dude. He's a surgeon. He's like, yeah, that all makes sense. And he said, what's crazy is the exact opposite seems to be what most people would think. And I said, there you go. And we went pretty deep into things. And again, you have to be cerebral about this sport. You can't just roll the dice.
Yeah.
You need to be able to think about it. If you're trying to hit a certain lift, if you can't in your mind work through physically what needs to happen, how could you have any success physically at doing it? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me. And that's a challenging thing for some people because they can't do that. It's very challenging for them to mentally work through what needs to happen.
And we saw it today on our group ride. There was this huge lift we ended up on, and several people just took a random shot at it.
God.
And it was very clear they didn't understand the mechanics of the move, but they're like, well, I'm doing it anyway.
Man.
It's not easy too.
Bike's gonna suffer, or did anybody get hurt, or were they good?
No. A rock might have gotten hurt. I can neither confirm nor deny. But it's a hard thing. I went through it for the better part of 10 years. Jeez. I went out, rode with him the first time. There's this thing called Waterfall on National Trail, and I watched him ride up it, and I thought, dude, that's gnarly. And it took me 10 years to mentally work through it, so I could physically work through it and get some consistency with it. But
wow,
that's how it is.
Yeah, it is a very mental sport as far as how fun it is, as far as how technical it is, how intense it could be, and how rewarding. It feels so good. Speaking of like KOMs, I watched a IG of you at Somo. I don't know what trail it was, but it looked like Star Wars. You were literally like bouncing off of things and hitting corners.
What, old man?
Is that what that was? It was a recent drop.
Well, I posted one on Lower National, which is a super common trail. And I don't usually put anything up just because everybody's seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't think
I was testing my camera. I was working some different settings on my camera. So I thought, I'll go ahead and post it up. And I got a lot of action on that one.
Dude, pretty good. You straightened that thing out. It was like, there's curves there and you're in the air. The minute you look like a jackrabbit. That's what you look like. Yeah. The minute you land, you were like into the next line. I'm like, I can't even see it.
So there's a guy named Alex Petit-Demange, French guy, really good friend of mine. And when I first started racing in 2015, I was riding for Niner And this guy was kind of their top factory guy. And so I got to be friends with him and ride with him. And there's nobody that I enjoy watching ride. I get many opportunities to ride with him. I love to follow him. And
After
that's
me,
the
right?
guy.
After me.
That's the guy I work so hard to emulate. His riding style is flawless. And yeah, he looks so light. He looks like an angel, so light on the bike, like his tires never touch the ground. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Matter of fact, Nate Hills follows him all the time. So if you watch Nate Hills follow cam videos, very often you're going to see Alex. He goes by the Red Mountain Goat.
wow, and I love that about videos because you can. It really helps put it together as well. When you see somebody else doing it, you can emulate that
Yep.
that feel, those lines, the
Yeah.
choices. It's just the good information. But then you need people to like literally help you get your body there in a safe way, versus like you're saying
Oh, of
rolling the
course.
dice, like we were talking about earlier.
Well, a lot of the trails at South Mountain are super rugged and it's a lot of rocks. So you don't, the right place to be, and that's subjective. You know, my idea of the right place to be wouldn't be intuitive to you. And so many of the sections that you can't see what's beyond or around the corner,
Mhm.
I know. And so I know where to be and when to be there. And so if you ride with me, I can show you that. And
So
my
we did-
hope
I won't
is-
even see you, bro, if I ride with you. Like, there he is. Where'd he go?
Mark, dude, he took me down this trail called Old Man, and he's like, "Oh, it's it's pretty spicy," and we were on e-bikes.
It's a 5 on the chili pepper scale.
Oh man.
So I told him, just chill out a little bit, dude. Like, let's get back for dinner here. So he rolls in, and we're ripping, dude. And I'm thinking, like, this is not chill mode. And we have this thing. It's basically a Blue Angels mentality. I'm going to lock on his 6 and go because he knows me and knows what I can do. And if I'm right there with him, I can do what he does. If it breaks, if I leave, if I'm not the wingman anymore, I can't. I don't know what I'm doing.
I just want to give some context on that. You know anything about the Blue Angels?
Oh yeah, Navy planes.
Every guy follows the guy next to him.
Yes.
And if the lead guy crashes,
They all go.
They all crash.
Yeah.
Because they're not paying attention to anything but the guy they're supposed to pay attention to.
Yes.
And so with him and I, and with me and Alex, I trust him implicitly. Whatever he does, I'm doing it because I know he knows what we're supposed to be doing. And it's the same thing with him and I.
That's cool.
Dude, we got down to the bottom of the trail and I was frightened. My hands hurt, my arms were pumped. I'm like, bro, what the hell was that? And he's like, dude, every time I look back, you're right there. So I just kept going.
Kept on the gas.
Faster the better.
You can do it. Oh man.
Trouble comes when you slow down.
This is true. We were actually on a trail called Highline yesterday, and right before the shoot, right before the tree, if you look up to the right, there's that, I don't know what they call that extra higher line that
Yeah.
you drop down into before the shoot. And Joey was up there taking all this information. He was like walking it, looking at the line, trying to straighten out as much as possible. And there was something that clicked in his brain, kind of like what we're talking about, where he goes, I see it. I see it now. And then just out of dumb luck, there was a coach from out of town from the Pacific Northwest. He was a mountain bike coach, and he had picked a different line. And then he
Jason Gainey.
was it? Yes, it was Jason Gainey.
Yeah, dude.
It was Jason
Guy's
Gainey.
so rad.
And then he looked at Joey's line and was like, "You're right. This is the line right here." They both confirmed it, and then they both rolled it. Everybody left there so stoked.
Mhm.
But it was that piecing it together, that information, that seeing it.
And he's a fantastic writer and he's a fantastic coach. He's a very intelligent dude. He has an amazing vernacular. I watch him all the time. He makes videos on the fluid ride thing. He's on there every once in a while, and he's got a way about him. And that's cool to be able to be on the trail and be around a guy like that.
Yeah. We got to the bottom. He's like, I've never been on Highline before. This trail's cool.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Well,
damn.
he's that kind of guy. Like he could be the guy that all the trails we've ridden here, he could just hook on with us and go.
Jeez.
Yeah, he would just do that.
So what does it take for a person, and I know it's a lot of time, but I just want to hear from coaches' standpoints. What does it take for a person to be like a COVID rider and they want to get to that level where they can ride a trail like Highline for the first time and be able to safely clean everything on that thing?
I think if somebody was given a proper foundation to start with, and they rode unimpaired for a year,
Okay.
meaning, so the problem is if you have a stupid tip over and you sprain your wrist and you're off the bike for a month, when you're coming back from that, it's always in the back of your mind. And now remember we talked earlier about being apprehensive, what human nature is.
Yeah.
When you're coming back, you're not coming back where you left. You got to go back to the beginning of the line.
Oh man.
And when you're trying to make up that ground and in your mind, you're thinking about this bad thing that happened to you, you're every day, every move, you're putting yourself in the worst possible situation for it to happen again. And so it's very difficult to get past that and kind of get back in the saddle.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I'm trying to work on, specific ways to bring people along, because I've had some devastating injuries. I mean, 2018 in Bentonville with Rich, just went off the trail, flipped into a tree, broke my scapula, my back, tore both rotator cuffs. So 2018, shoulder surgeries on both sides. I come back from that. We start racing Big Mountain Enduro. 2 rounds in, I crash in Phoenix, break my neck, my back, collarbone in my arm. And every time, these are tremendous.
Which I want to provide a little context here, because this has come up recently. There's always a chance to crash. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
That situation in 2019, we were racing 27.5 wheeled trail bikes. This idiot went home and hopped on his 29er, went ripping, and he's got a 3-ride rule, but no, he went ripping on this trail with a teammate.
3-ride rule came along after this incident.
He went ripping down a trail with a teammate, and you got to understand the areas areas he rides, these rock double ups are so precise that the difference between a 29er and a 27.5 was all it took for him to go lawn darting over the bars.
Yeah, I said aha as I was passing the critical angle of attack.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this is not going to end well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So those things little things make big differences.
Think about like a pedal strike. If you miss by a millimeter, that's all it takes.
Yeah. It's like a grenade goes off.
If you hit by a millimeter, that's the difference.
I did this trail at Greer. It's called Insidious. It's one of the tougher ones there. Made it down. I could see the exit, and I took my brain off it for a second. Pedal struck a rock that was in a bush, camouflage.
Sniper rock.
Yeah. It felt like a grenade. It was like, next thing you know, I was sideways in the air. Like, what the? Crashed at the exit, slid in front of people. Like, hey, how you doing? What happened? What was that?
Did you see that car?
Did you get their number?
I have an answer for that question for that person that wants to excel as a newer rider. My advice is always try to do things better. I see too many people trying to go faster and trying to go bigger. And what I tell them is, don't do that. Be better. Whatever you're doing now, do it better. The byproduct of better technique is speed. So don't focus on speed. Focus on better technique. And the other thing is, there's no substitute for experience.
Yeah.
We've had people reach out and say, man, I want to be a coach for you. I have every certification. I'm fired up. I want to do it. And I ask them, how long you been riding? I said, 2 years, 3 years. And I say, no, I'm sorry. Well, what's the problem? I said, you could have been riding every minute of every day for 3 years. You don't have anywhere near the experience that I need you to have.
Yeah, you simply haven't seen enough situations to be able to.
It's nothing personal.
You need to be an almanac for the student.
Right.
No matter what circumstance comes up, you have to be the one who can answer that question. And it reminds me of like people auditioning for a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
You're going to face a lot of rejection, but it's not personal.
Right.
They're looking for a guy that's 6'2" and you're 5'3".
Yeah. Why are you looking at me, Rob?
Sometimes they need it with an Australian accent.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Be better at what you're currently doing. Really drill that in, and the speed will come with it. And then the mental hurdles of overcoming injury. Just how are you drawing that to make them comfortable?
So again, I try to go back to my personal experience, because I struggled with this. There's nothing worse than when you know your level and then you physically can start riding again and you're riding terrible. And it's not because you physically don't know how to do it. It's because mentally you're putting yourself in a compromised position. And so what I have found works for me is go to places that I can have easy victories, not difficult trails, trails that are low risk, and execute those trails well and feel good about it. and do it over and over again, and then start to build from there. But until you can put something in the rearview mirror the right way, you're never going to get there.
Wow. That makes sense. Dang, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've lived it a little bit.
Yeah, you sure have. Everything's through personal experience. You guys do have a great pedigree of bike riding behind you and coaching. I mean, 2015 this started, so
Yeah.
you have almost a decade of coaching all these different types of people.
Yeah. Well, and I think the important part of that is the time spent teaching in the corporate world is very key to the ability to teach in this environment. And, it's one of those things where I started racing BMX when I was 5. He's 7 years older than me, and that's what he was doing. And I didn't know then that he didn't want to race BMX. He wanted to race motocross. So not long after that, Santa brought me a dirt bike, and I told Rob, dude, I didn't even ask Santa for a dirt bike. And he said, don't worry, Santa knows exactly what you need. And so we raced motocross. I never stopped racing BMX. Got my first mountain bike in 1988, Specialized Hard Rock. I rode mountain bikes forever. And I never thought about racing a mountain bike. And
I did not ride mountain bikes.
In 2014, he had an extra bike and he sent it to me. And I saw a flyer for a race at a bike shop, and I decided I'm going to go do this. And it was category 3, 2, 1. And I said, I'm not starting in category 3. Like, I'm really good. I should be in 1. I rode 2 and got smashed.
Damn.
Because I didn't have the fitness. But what I realized was none of these people are very good. And so I got the fitness, and less than 6 months later, did my first pro cross country race and did really well. Made a good amount of money. And everybody's like, wait a minute, like, this is impossible. How did you get so good so quickly? I told them I didn't. I've been riding on 2. I've been on 2 wheels since I was 5. I have technique. I don't have this fitness. Like, this cross country realm, and it's changing now, thankfully. None of them knew how to ride bikes. They were just super fit. Fitness is easy. It's in the ether. It's just go get it.
Yeah.
But technique, you gotta earn.
You gotta start, man. Dang, that is a lot of pedigree. From now, how did you get Rob back into mountain biking?
Well, so no,
I did.
So
you
he started
did.
riding.
Okay.
Yeah,
he started
so-
riding, and I told him, dude, you need to go race enduro.
Yeah, my motocross career ended with a terrible injury, as most do. And I started my business and just went to work. And by the time I turned 40, matter of fact, right about when I turned 40, I was overweight and I was miserable, man. Just tremendously unhappy.
Golden handcuffs.
Yeah, and I couldn't really. I don't have an ACL in this knee, and I just there's certain physical things I wasn't able to do. I got a ruptured disc in my lower back.
Jeez, Rob.
And a friend of mine who had 2 sons that I worked with in motocross said, hey, we're getting mountain bikes and we're riding mountain bikes. You should get a mountain bike. So there's a downhill trail in Phoenix that we would shuttle on. So I got a downhill bike first. I figured it's similar to moto. I like that. And it was really fun. But where they drop you off, you have to do a little climb, and everybody would hike a bike up.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, that's lame. I need to ride up that stuff. So I put a mountain cassette on my downhill bike, and I started climbing these technical climbs. And all of a sudden people are like, dude, what are you doing?
Everyone else is hiking biking.
Nobody rides that stuff.
Oh my
So
God.
that was super fun. And so then the nuance of the climbing became the thing. And after about 90 days of sticking with it, I'm losing weight. I'm feeling better about myself. And the hook was set, dude. There was no way I was going to be. It's funny because at this point, I still had a motorcycle. And every Saturday, I'd go out in the garage and I'd look at the dirt bike and I think, am I going to load up my bike and my gear and go buy gas and drive 2 hours to the track and pay $40 to ride for 15 minutes? Or am I going to get on my mountain bike and go riding?
Yes.
Mountain bike won every time.
Nice.
And after 2 times of cleaning bad gas out of my dirt bike, I just sold it.
You're
and
like,
I never looked back.
You're like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, done with it.
Wow.
And then when Strava came out, it was game on,
Oh yeah. You see everybody's times. Yes, the competitor comes
then
out.
it was a race.
Yeah.
And people would tell me when enduro got big, people would say, man, you should go race enduro. You would do so good. And I would tell them, my racing days are over. I raced for a long time. I had a great career. I don't need that anymore. And then he and I made a plan to do BME in 2016. We're gonna come in ready and prepared. But when I started racing motocross as a beginner, it was a harsh environment. When you're just a knucklehead, you don't know where to go or what to do, and people were just not cool about it. they weren't helping you. And so I swore to myself, because I said to my dad, I remember telling my dad, I'm going to be a pro motocross racer. And he's like, yeah, sure you are, son. And
Good
so
luck
I
with
was, I was driven, and I swore to myself, when I get there, I will help the new guys along.
Yeah.
And so that always stuck with me. And then, once I started looking into this big Mount Enduro thing, we made our plan. 2016, we're going to do it. But I said, I'm going to sneak in there in 2015 and just scope it out, because I don't want to show up in 2016 and be the knucklehead again.
Right.
I want to know the lay of the land. And so I went to a race at Snowmass, and I came out of day one, I think, in 11th place. And D Tidwell, I don't know if you know who he is. He was a former downhill champion, amazing guy, tremendous rider. He has MTB Enduro training. Is his business. He basically trains people to be better on the bike. And he was the reigning champion. He was in the lead. Excuse me. On the second day, I think second day, I just started chipping away at him. Every stage went down great. And the second to the last stage, I got hung up behind somebody. I didn't do my best. I got hung up behind somebody, and I was really angry at myself. So we came to the finish line, and I was kind of yelling at myself, but the officials thought I was yelling at the guy in front of me.
Oh no.
So they pulled me aside. They're going to disqualify me.
Oh
no.
no.
Like, oh, no. I was upset with myself. Anyway, so I think I don't know, maybe I was 20 seconds out or something. And I thought, man, there's no way I'm going to reel this guy in, because the stage was the downhill stage. And so I gave it everything I had. And at that point, you'd wear this transponder on your wrist, and you go at the end of the day and you check it in, and there's a big screen like this, and everybody's results come up, and it's always changing as people are checking in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go up there, and there's people all around looking at the screens, and I check my chip in, and boop, up it comes. I beat that guy by 11 seconds.
Oh, nice.
And as I turn around, I'm walking away, and he's walking up. He said, well, what happened? I said, I got it. And he's like, no way. And he's pushing people out of it. and then it was on. All of a sudden, it's like, who's this guy?
That's awesome.
I went to the next one, and I won that one at Keystone. And then I won my first BME championship that year.
Dang.
Came back the next year when he was supposed to come, but instead he had a son. And so I got another championship in 2016. And
now, I raced the Southern Enduro Tour, not quite big, Little Mountain Enduro.
Yeah.
There he goes.
And I won that championship. So I wasn't sitting on the couch
right.
with my son.
No, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, you guys were definitely putting it down. I remember when I had you guys on the show last time, the pedigree from the racing side. Now, was that just built into you guys, or is it a brother thing where you like, he's competing, so I'm competing, or were you raised in a competitive environment?
I don't think Rich was as competitive as I was. I was super competitive to start. And one of the reasons I was apprehensive about racing mountain bikes is because I don't race to ride. I don't race to participate. I race to win.
Yeah.
And if I can't, I'm not interested. So I knew if I opened that door, I would go through it.
Dang.
But to my wonder, here I am, kind of riding a wave of a whole nother career that I never saw coming. And the beauty of it is, with my business gone, I have nothing but time on my hands to enjoy this thing.
Wow.
This thing that you get to enjoy.
Yeah, the time.
So that's our underlying goal, is we want to share this with people. And what's the best way? Teach them to do it well and safe.
Yes.
And
that's rewarding. That's got to feel rewarding.
Well, being competitive, I was nowhere near as competitive as him. In 2016, that was when I was in a position where I could put everything into it. I'm still a product trainer for the Ford Motor Company. I have a corporate career, but my wife was super cool. She was pregnant with our son. She said, this is your year. And I did everything I could. I won every enduro race I did. I won cyclocross, crit races, endurance cross. I did everything. And I smashed it. Dude, it sucked. I didn't have a whole lot of fun. Like, I remember one of the first races, he was there with me, and it was at the end, and I was just super stressed. And he said, dude, just relax.
I said, you're not racing to win. You're racing not to lose.
Yeah. And that was a big thing. And come 2017, I won my championship. It was huge. It was awesome. 2017, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have some fun. I did almost as well. And I finished every stage, good or bad, and was like, that's awesome. Like I'm riding my bike and trying to convey that to people. I'm just very realistic, dude. Like I started racing bikes professionally at 38 years old. What the hell am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And I want to have fun with it. And it's allowed me to have a career now. And it's funny because you'll run into people that go, dude, you're not a professional mountain biker. I'm like, dude, I make a living riding my bike. It is my profession. Therefore, I am a professional mountain biker. What that means this day and age is very different than what it meant 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And to be able to explain to people, like from the enduro side, if you're not riding enduro at a pro level, don't expect to win because you will always be racing against somebody who shouldn't be in your class. It's
Mm,
absurd. Enduro is meant to be fun. If you go out and you ride a weekend and go, I just rode 8 amazing stages, you won. I don't
nice.
care where you end up in the rankings, you won. And so to try to share that sentiment or that point of view with people, that I think is a very important thing now, because if you're not making your living, if you're not getting a paycheck riding a bike, damn it, have fun.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because that's what got you on the bike in the first place, most likely.
Exactly. Well, and that's what we tell people at clinics too, is there's people that aren't very comfortable. Like we say, this is what needs to happen. And you watch them and they look like robots. And I pull them to the side and I say, hey, you comfortable? And they go, no, not at all. I said, well, comfort breeds confidence. So we explain something, but it's obviously not comfortable for you.
Mhm.
We need to find a way for that to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to have fun riding.
Yeah.
And that's important. And it's tough sometimes.
Yeah, I bet. I bet that could be tough to
Oh, yeah.
find the
I mean,
different learning tool to bring out for that particular person.
well, optimum body position is optimum body position, but like he told you, the dude's riddled with injuries. So, like from a mobility standpoint, you can only do so much.
Good
So
point.
for it can't be black and white. And a lot of coaches I've seen, they're very dogmatic with this is the way, this is what you have to do. You have to hinge, you have to do this. Like, no, you don't. You need success. If you're riding your bike successfully and you're doing it within reason, why would we change that? Like people come through and I equate them to, you're a pamphlet if you're a new rider. You could be a magazine. You could be a novel. I don't want to rewrite any of those.
Mm,
I'll add words. I'll add a paragraph. Hell, I'll add a page if need be. But that's it. I'm not going to rewrite you. Doesn't make any sense.
that's cool. Dang, that's cool. Um, we're gonna turn to the chat real quick. We have some folks out there that are tuning in on
Oh, nice,
camera
dude.
3,
I
I
didn't know
think.
that.
Let's take a peek and see if we can see some of these. Joey, what does it say? We can't see that right there. Uh, the first one's coming up from adapting adventures. Yo, what's up, buddy? He says, hi, shredders. Basic skills are big impacts to take to the trail to enjoy riding the trails. Yeah. Get back to the basics.
Yeah.
Get good at shredding those. Another one is up. Trail Monster. What's up? Trail Monster's actually in the studio right here. What's up, Neil? He says, I'm here at the podcast house in Sedona. Yes, he is. Trail Pimp out in Lake Tahoe is saying, yeah, monster.
It's a really cool setup.
We got another one here. Trump Pimp saying good times is where it's at. Yeah, good times is where it's at. It definitely is where it's at.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Um, I know we were gonna talk about a few other things. I know we're coming up on our hour, but
We got to talk about this right here.
yeah, let's drop this. What
gotta
is
talk about this.
happening with
Ari.
Fazari
Ooh, how
changing
dare
to Ari? And,
So-
and by the way, those bikes do look dope.
Bikes do look dope. Just to give a little context and a little backstory, Rob and I were factory pivot riders. My contract was up at the end of 2019, and I was kind of transitioning in my life, and I didn't resign because I felt my value didn't lie in racing. It was more in content creation, and Pivot was very focused on racing. And so I became brand agnostic and just started riding different bikes, had deals with different manufacturers to do different things. It was awesome. And in 2020, we were here at the Sedona Mountain Bike Festival. Somebody introduced me to Tyler Cloward, the head of product at Fazari. And he said, do you go ride this LaSalle Peak? And I'd never seen a bike like this. 64-degree head tube angle, 71-degree seat tube angle. And I got on it and I felt super awkward. 35 mil stem. And I went out and I tried to ride the bike. And he told me 30 minutes in, he's like, dude, you need to get off that bike. You're going to die. And so I came back and I gave him the bike back. And he said, what did you think? And I said, dude, I need more time to acclimate to a bike like this. It's very different than anything I've ever ridden. And I would love to do that at some point. And he got a smile on his face and he said, dude, thank you. He said, most people would come back and say, your bike's a pile of crap. because I couldn't ride it. And I said, that dude, I would never say that. The bike, I never gave the bike the opportunity to shine.
Mm.
And probably a month later, he calls me and he said, hey man, we have a new trail bike coming out called the Delano Peak. Dude, I'd love to just give you one to ride and get your thoughts. And I said, yeah, heck yeah, dude. And he said, I'm going to send you this one with Fox this and Fox that. And I said, whoa. What's the most cost-effective bike you have? And he's like, the cheapest bike? And I said, dude, you're not in marketing, bro. Most cost-effective. He said, $3,500.
Get that cheap word out of your mouth.
And I said, dude, you have a carbon fiber trail bike for $3,500. And he said, yeah. And I said, dude, send me that. And he goes, well, do you want to know what's on it? I said, dude, I don't care what's on it. So he ships this bike out and I get on the bike and dude, I rode the wheels off that bike. Loved it. And we made a review video. And I basically said, you can want an $8,000 bike, but hopefully this video tells you you don't need anything more than a $3,500 bike. And I was very straight up. Like they weren't paying me. I thought this is a rad bike. This is a great value. Like a lot of people could part with $3,500 for a pretty good bike. Not as many people can part with $8,000. So I made this video and put this video out. Not long after that, they call back and they're like, bro, we can't keep up with how many people want to buy these bikes because of that video.
Nice.
And I said, dude, that's awesome.
That's gotta feel good.
And it felt great because it's tangible.
Yeah, there was no gimmick to it.
There was no gimmick.
Right.
And I started seeing people around Bentonville on these bikes going, hey man, I bought this bike because of you. Dude, that's awesome. Like I can't ask for anything more. And we had done things with different manufacturers. I was trying to keep the whole brand agnostic thing because I figured the more bikes I rode, the more videos we could make, the more people we could appeal to. And I saw the industry doing funny things. And at the end of 22, I talked with Jordan Washburn, who basically runs the company. And I said, dude, I don't know what's going to happen, but I appreciate you. I appreciate how you deal with us. And if you have an interest, I'd love to slide all our chips in with you.
Mm.
And he's like, wow, dude, that's really cool. And we put a deal together and they have just been incredible to work with. The bikes are awesome, but the people, they're really cool. They're really down to earth people and they get it. And I very much buy into them wanting to provide the best value they can for their customers. And when I told him everybody's pulling back, all these companies we work with are pulling back, he said, we're not pulling back. We're pushing in more. We're going to go in more. And so we did it. And when the maturation of the brand came up, it made perfect sense. And a lot of people are still trying to figure out, well, what happened? What happened? It's very simple. They want to become a global brand. And to be a global brand, you have to have appeal in a lot of different countries. And RE, which means to be in the moment, to be present, is something
that you need in our sport.
You need, exactly. And that's the point. And that resonates globally. That resonates everywhere. And that very simply was the reasoning behind it. And like you said, dude, the new bikes look good.
Yeah.
Like they went through the PowerPoint and I was just thinking, whoa. And this Nebo Peak popped up and it's a lightweight e-bike. And I've never asked them for anything. Like from a bike standpoint, I've said, dude, when you can get me the bikes, get me the bikes.
Yeah.
I saw that thing and I told them, you get me one of those.
Yeah,
I've never asked for anything. One of those. You give me one of those. And they didn't have many available. And thankfully I was able to get one. And yeah, dude, it's really cool. So it's exciting because they've signed a lot of new people.
It's a big tent now.
Yeah.
It is big.
A lot of big
names. We saw, some big names. I know some aren't official yet, or maybe they haven't released it yet, but April's Astro's there.
April's there.
I don't know who
Kyle
else.
Strait.
Are we allowed to say?
Yeah. Kyle Strait.
Is that official?
It's official, dude.
Cat's out of the bag.
Dude, that's a big one.
Yeah. Kyle and Rachel.
And both of them.
Yeah, both of them.
And Rachel's been with GT for a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Joey, do you know Joey Foresta?
Not yet.
So Joey Foresta is the marketing manager. He's a former GT junior downhill rider. Amazing rider. The kid rips. And he just decided he didn't want to race anymore. And Fazzari luckily was able to grab him. And he's basically running the marketing program. And he's a very savvy young dude. And I think he's leading the charge with a lot of it. So yeah, it's cool. I'm really excited to be part of it. And I think there's big things coming with this company.
Sounds like there is. They're moving and shaking. And just the way they're handling everything is cool. Like when they released the press release
Yeah,
where
that's
he was like the
hilarious.
coach. That was amazing.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yes.
It's very creative, and it's cool to see those things because I can see it having talked with Chris in the past. Like it's just, yeah, it's great to see.
Dude, that is awesome. Well, we're here on episode 143 with Rich and Rob Drew from the Ride Series. Let the folks know if they want to get coaching, if they want to come out and have a good time, hang out with you guys, get some skills, get some value so they can have fun for longer.
Yep.
Where will they be able to find you? How?
You go to the rideseriesmtb.com. Our schedule is built out through July currently, and kind of being on the West Coast now, we're going to be back with the large scale clinics mid-October, mid-November. But we're doing a ton of events in Bentonville. We're going to be in Nashville, Atlanta. We're going to do some stuff in Colorado. We'll eventually get to Florida later on down the road. We're going to be a lot of different places with the big clinics, but private coaching can always be done in Bentonville with me. And what's cool about that is we have a demo fleet of Fazari bikes. So you can fly into the mountain bike capital of the world, and we'll set you up with a bike to ride. Do some private coaching. We'll let you use the bike for a few days. But if you want to do private coaching around the Phoenix area, Rob Drew is your man.
I am now available.
And all that can be booked on our super sweet website. You just go to
learn
private
those
coaching.
lines?
I do need to learn those lines. I did not know where you were going on some of those things. You're going so fast. And it was a hook over this and land 3 centimeters next to that sharp rock and then bounce over to the left.
Dude,
there was
trail knowledge.
It's 3 centimeters. Like I got it wrong recently and my wheel disintegrated, dude. The wheel disintegrated. The bike hit the ground, ripped the derailleur cage of my transmission off.
Oh my
it was gnarly.
God.
But you're a couple millimeters off.
Yeah. It's a different story.
5 millimeters from disaster.
Yeah.
5 millimeters from disaster. Gosh, you guys, in closing, just for a quick thing, people that are thinking about getting lessons to see you guys and they're on the site, they're signing up. Name some of those people type. Like, who are they that are signing up? Are they the ones that are coming in going, I really want to learn how to jump? Or are they, I really want to learn quarter? Like, what is the most specific skill that they usually come in with wanting?
If they have experienced joy on the bicycle, then they're a candidate.
Nice.
Yeah.
No matter what level they're at, we can help them. No matter
a lot of people now.
That's awesome.
A lot of people want to jump, but I think we see a decent amount of people. I mean, think about it. If you're going to golf and you want to be better at golf, you're going to hire a golf pro. Now you can't buy your way into that moniker. If you're a golf pro at a country club, you can ask them, what's your handicap? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
You can't do that in this realm.
Right.
And so
you can't be a bad golfer and be a golfer.
Right.
You can't be a bad tennis player, be a tennis coach.
Yeah, tennis pro is an actual tennis pro.
I don't know why I'm not so busy. I don't understand.
and I think
you can ironically be a terrible bike rider. Be a bike riding.
There's a lot of people that want to jump, but I think the majority of people want to turn a bike better. And that makes perfect sense. We had a lot of people that say, I don't really care about jumping. I need to turn my bike better.
Well, and most people, that's the thing they could work the most on.
Yeah.
And the best guys will tell you that's where races are won. And that's where you fall. Most times, quartering.
Yes.
Low side washout.
Yep. Exactly. That's my rider type if I were coming in.
Yeah, but you're not alone. If you think about it, the majority of people, that's what they do. And it's a low side washout because you're in the back seat. I would tell everybody
putting the weight and physics aren't on your side.
I am going to say
you're matching wits with physics, and physics is laughing at you.
Like this.
Yes, that's exactly.
This next statement is going to be the one people remember. All right. I would tell every single person who's not a professional mountain bike rider, if you want to get better on your bike, get further forward. And people always ask, is there a too far forward? And I say, yeah, there is a too far forward. I'll bet everything I have, you'll never get there. Because in the thousands of people I've worked with, 2 have gotten too far forward. Do you know what those 2 shared? They were on the autism spectrum. Your brain will not let you get too far forward on the bike. And you know what's a natural human reaction? Moving back. Come into a situation biased forward. When you move back, you'll be in a better position. And guess what? You won't wash out when you turn.
Oh, man. All that, the weight will be on the right spots. Your balance point will be, everything's in the right place.
Yep.
Physics.
It's amazing how that works.
Dude, but your brain's like freaking out and going, get in the back seat.
Of course.
Then why'd I wash out? Yeah.
That's why you shouldn't be on that trail with a black diamond rating.
That's right.
Work your way up to that when you're ready for it.
That's true. Wise words here from Rich and Rob Drew. Check them out there at the Ride Series. They're going to be touring. And if you want private lessons, go look them up and get some. Invest in yourself and pay less dirt tax later.
Let us help you.
Yes, definitely. It's been great having you guys in the studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, buddy. It was
Our
great to see
pleasure.
you.
Heck yeah. For those of you out there, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next episode, 145. We got Jess the Maker. We got Bentonville all in the
Just the
studio.
maker.
Yes.
What?
All right. See you guys all later.